Rugby Championship 2024, folks. The final game. Boks hosting the Pumas, and this is the game that will decide who wins the Rugby Championship. In all likelihood, it's going to be the Springboks, but there is that slimmest of slim chances that it is the Pumas. We'll go through the squads which have been announced, some stats, and recent history predictions. You guys can let us know your thoughts on how this one is going to go. There'll certainly be some key changes in both sides, which may raise a few eyebrows. South Africa, I mean, the biggest eyebrow that's going to be raised is Manie Libbok's selection at 10 after missing that kick last week to win the game, which would have secured the whole thing. That being said, part of me kind of likes the fact that he's gone with Libbok, because here in New Zealand, we've had a similar situation with Damian McKenzie under all kinds of pressure. The media's been calling for him to not play 10. Many of the fans have been calling him for not play 10. And he's not playing 10 this week. Whereas the Springboks, everyone's calling for Manie Libbok's head. And Russ is just like, I'm going to start the guy. I'm not just going to play him. I'm not going to keep playing him. I'm going to start him. Part of me, I appreciate that about Russie, man. He just doesn't do things the way everyone else thinks they should be done. And he did get asked about the goal kicking in the press conference, and he basically said that Manie needs to get back on the horse, and they've made plans for the goal kicking. Does that mean Cheslin Kolbe kicks? Does that mean Jaden Hendrickson does some kicking? We'll kind of have to wait and see. But around the park, man, Manie Libbok, if he puts up those high balls and Fussy chases them, good things are going to happen. It's going to lead to potentially retained kicks. It's going to potentially lead to knock-ons, and those knock-ons will likely lead to profitable scrums for the Boks. And then if they get the back line going, Manie is certainly a guy to unlock that. Will it come down to goal kicks? We'll kind of have to wait and see. But that's what he's gone with. And that's Russie doing Russie. Ox, Bongi, and Franz, those are the same three front rowers. No, it's not the same three front rowers. That is the front row this week. Ox continues on, but Bongi's back in the 23, and Franz is also back into the 23 after not playing over in Argentina. Ox was immense over in Argentina. 4 defenders beaten, scrummed like a demon. He's a proper unit. Second row sees Eben Etzebeth. He's going to break that record to become the most capped Springboks player of all time. And remembering, I think I said it previously, this is without that COVID year where the Springboks just didn't play. And some people speculated maybe it actually did the guys good to have that bit of time off, get the bit of longevity in the career. I don't know if you guys remember, but Richie McCaw did that. He took some time off rugby. He was like, I want to get my body right. Nowadays, all the All Blacks guys go to Japan to make money. But back in the day, Richie was just taking some time off. So maybe it's helped the longevity of Eben's career. He's certainly been one of those guys who, even when he's been injured, if it's test time, he always manages to get fit and always manages to hit the game at a good level. So big congratulations to him. Massive, massive achievement for a massive human being. Stole a line out last week when he came off the bench. Looked really busy around the park, so he'll be certainly wanting to make this a special occasion and a win. Norkia, who's been very busy at line-out time, continues alongside him. Kolisi's back on the side and captains. He will no doubt be hitting rucks and making tackles, because that's what he does. Likewise, Peter Steff will be looking to potentially shut down the Pumas playmakers a bit more than they were able to do last week over in Argentina, because that's part of what he does. And then Jasper Wiese, hard carrying 8, continues on. Changes at 9 and 10 with Jaden Hendrickson and Manie Libbok getting promoted from the bench. I've already talked about Libbok, but we'll see how he goes. He's certainly going to have pressure on him. And then Jaden Hendrickson, I feel like, will be a guy that's going to benefit from more time in the Springboks jersey, because he seems to have heaps of potential at this level. And yeah, with Faf being out for such a long time, there's been a bunch of guys getting a crack. Well, this is Jaden's time to actually get a start. So well done for him. Dealendy and Creel will resume their partnership in the midfield with Dealendy back into the 23. And then they've changed the back three with Kurtley Arons to swap in wings. Cheslin Kolbe's back in. Remember, potentially doing a bit of goal kicking. And then Fussy there at fullback. He made like 98 metres last week and chased all the high balls. Coughed up a few, but still genuinely looked a good presence in the air. Replacements, Marks, Steenekamp, and Cox. So Marks drops to the bench for this one. Elric Lowe, Quacker Smith are the other two forward replacements, as there's 3 backs on the bench this week from the Boks with Reinach, Pollard, and You feel like this is Russie's bench management, and that if it is a tight game and you need a guy to come on and kick a clutch goal, you've literally got Andre Pollard there, who's done it on the biggest stage ever. So yes, pretty smart play from Russie. We'll see if it pays off. For the Pumas, they have also made a few changes. A couple of those are kind of injury-enforced ones. The most notable being Kremer. We'll start with the front row. Gajo, Montoya, and Sclavi. That's the starting front row. And you know they're going to be under the pump at scrum time. Gajo's scrummaging gets talked about a fair bit because it's not traditionally been the strongest area of his game. He's been more one of those guys that's fantastic around the park and also plays prop. But it has been getting better, so he'll be better for having played the Springboks last week, one would think. Montoya's still captain. He played 80 minutes last week because they were kind of losing other forward stocks with injuries, so we'll see him potentially go 60, 70 minutes again because that tends to be how they play the captain. And then Sclavi there at tight head. Rubiolo continues on in the second row, but he's joined by Lavanini this time, and he's a big unit, so will potentially be helping to kind of bolster the scrum as well because the second row needs to do their bit, and he's genuinely a big bit Argentinian beef. Juan Martin Gonzalez up from the bench for this one in the number 6 jersey. Santiago Grondona takes over from Marcos Kremer, who is out injured, unfortunately, and then Joaquin Oviedo has been a block-busting ball carrier at number 8, man. Like, he managed 37 meters last week against the Box, which Adi Xavier couldn't do. Admittedly, that was over in South Africa, and last week was in Argentina, so we'll see if Oviedo is able to get that same kind of pay when we're on South African soil, but look out for that guy, man. He's a ball carrier. I think Adi got like 14 and 16 against the Box. 37, not a bad run. Gonzalo Garcia gets the nod at 9. There's no Bertrano in the squad this week, so he's up from the bench. Albanoz was intense from 10, man. Like, he missed some goals, but 9 defenders beaten against the Springboks was a heck of a shift from the number 10. Managed to get himself a try as well. Chocobates is still at 12. Remember, he's been a bit of a defensive powerhouse too, helping to shut down the Box moves. And then Matias Moroni, interestingly, gets the nod at 13, swapping places with Sinti. Sinti was also really big defensively last week, so maybe they're opting for a slightly more offensive lineup with Moroni there, remembering that if they are going to get their hands on the Rugby Championship, they need to win, and they need to score 3 more tries than the Box, and they need to deny the Box a losing bonus point. So, yeah, the tries are needed. And maybe in that vein as well, they've not only kept on Mateo Carreras, who's looked really dangerous on the left wing. His battle up against the Box back 3 is going to be fascinating again. But Rodrigo Iskro is going to get his first game of the Rugby Championship, the 7s kind of maestro. He's a proper attacking weapon as well. Obviously had a lot more success at 7s than he has had at 15s from the limited time we've got to see him, but we'll see if he's able to get some of that kind of magic into the Rugby Championship. And then Santiago Carreras takes over from Malia, who's been really good at fullback, but he doesn't kick goals. Santiago Carreras kicks goals. And prior to Albanoz taking his spot at 10, he was kicking goals really well. So I get the feeling Carreras will do the goal kicking this week ahead of Albanoz. That's the kind of feeling I've got. Ruiz, Carles, and Delgado, those are the replacement front rowers. They will really, really need to be on form because last week it was especially the bench guys that were getting punished. Molina drops to the bench in the second row. Likewise, top Pumas ball carrier Pablo Matera drops to the bench. I'm wondering if he just played a lot of rugby or if they're doing what a lot of the coaches seem to be doing and like adding that impact player from the bench, not just let's just start all your best players. Seems to be becoming a bit of a trend to get that impact from the bench to win games. Bazan Valles is the new replacement halfback with no Bertrano this week. And then Sinti and Malia, as I mentioned, drop to the bench. Remember, Bejo is also still out, the big tight head. He's out for a long term. You feel like if he was in the squad, the Pumas scrum would be under a bit less pressure. Stats. I promised you some stats. The Box line-out was still only around 80% last week, which is low for them, but it has been kind of normal recently. I still have it on the kind of to-do list for the Box to get that one right. They lost only 2 last week, but it was still, when you're looking at the percentage, not what you expect from the Box lineup, but the scrum made up for it. It was massive. It was getting penalties for fun by the end of the game last week, so you can bet your bottom dollar they'll be trying to turn the screws there again. And another card. Like it was the Irons a high tackle last week. The Box have had a lot of cards at this Rugby Championship, which is kind of uncharacteristic. So they got punished for it. They'll need to be keeping things clean. One would imagine they don't want it to become a theme, and Russie even raised that in the press conference about the discipline. Their own ruck ball was very secure, which was a good kind of turnaround from where the All Blacks gave them a lot of problems in that second test against the ABs. So, yeah, for their turnaround there, you know, was one of the kind of things that got checked off. And they also put the Pumas ruck under a lot of pressure, which was pleasing for them. And for the Pumas, they had fewer run meters in the box last week, like 336 to 497, but they had a lot fewer carries to do it by. So if you're looking at how many meters they were getting per carry, they were just under 5, which is massive, whereas the box were just under 4. 4 is kind of like the magic number. The box were at like 3.8, 3.9, which is solid, but the Pumas being like 4.8, that's incredible. So not many teams get that kind of purchase into the box defense. As I mentioned, the likes of Khaleesi and Peter Steff will be looking to shut that down this week, but we will see. Yeah, turned over too many times. They need to be more secure in their ruck ball. The box guys, the Pumas guys, they can't cough uphill. When you go to South Africa, you're basically going to need to take all your chances. So securing that ruck ball is going to be key. And then, I mean, the main one's the scrum. The scrum just needs to be better. See if they can lift it. The Wallabies also kind of were in a bit of a similar situation. Their scrum seems to be turning around a bit, so we'll see if the Pumas have learned anything from last week. Like last week, I think they conceded 11 penalties, and 7 of them were front rowers. Not all at scrum time, but that's a kind of damning number. Recent history is 4-1 to South Africa, with that most recent win being the only Pumas one, 29-28 last week. Average score tends to be 30-21. So pretty comfortably for the box, but there are some close games, 36-20 back in 2022. But in South Africa, 38-21 was pretty comfortable in Durban. But then Joburg, 2023 was also a pretty close one, 22-21. So there have been some close games. But close game is not going to do it for the Pumas if they are going to get the Rugby Championship. As I mentioned, they have a long list of requirements. But you feel like if they could get a win, they would still basically feel like they've won the Rugby Championship, because that would be a magnificent campaign to have positive record at the end of the thing. So, yeah, we'll see. Last time they played in Mbombela, Brian Habana got a yellow card back in 2016, and Lavanini was playing in that game too. He didn't get a card. So, there you go. Some things, miracles can happen. Predictions-wise, the box, real comfortable favourites, man. They're predicted to bounce back. 18 points with the bookies. 16 points with the Rugby Forecast algorithm. New Zealander Ben O'Keefe is the ref. It is on at 5 o'clock South African time, which unfortunately is 3 o'clock in the morning for me here in New Zealand. But I'll be getting up to watch it. You guys let us know your thoughts on the game. How do you reckon it is going to go? Stick around for more rugby content. Thank you so much for your time. If you want to subscribe to the channel, I would appreciate it. But yeah, you guys take care of yourselves, and talk to you again soon. See you later.